Hey everyone, welcome to this mini crash course that I've prepared for you guys. And this crash course is my 4 years of knowledge combined that I've learned from Outbound, helping all sorts of B2B SaaS clients, B2B service clients, and have implemented different strategies to build pipeline for them, build go-to-market systems, the entire RevOps strategies that I've learned. And I've squeezed all of that knowledge in this course that you could actually go through in a couple of hours. So I just want to set up some foundation so you understand how can you go through this course correctly, and so you can get the best kind of use of this course. So the first thing, before we even dive into anything specific about the course, which is the main thing, is you need to know your ICP. And I'm assuming that you're not completely new to like Outbound, what a cold email is, what LinkedIn outreach is, what lead list building is, a bit of stuff about data generation tools. So the few things that I want to be very clear about. You need to know your ICP. If you don't know your exact ideal client profile, then whatever you do, no matter how crazy of a clay workflow that you build, no matter if you spend thousands of dollars, you wouldn't book meetings. If you don't know their pain points, what value prop they resonate with, how your product actually helps them. And again, if you're a startup, you might be figuring stuff out. So you need to keep that in mind, because I've worked with startups. You need to set your expectation correctly that what you're doing is you're testing your message right now. But if you have product market fit, then it's great. You could land meetings very quickly. The same goes for copywriting. I'm seeing a lot of AI agents, which are amazing, which are great, which can completely change everything in Outbound. But if you still don't know the basics, no AI SDR, AI agents will help you, because you actually don't know what to say, right? You don't know what value prop your market resonates with. And above all else that I'm going to share in this course, if you just get the foundations right, which is if you reach your exact targeted ICP with a relevant message, with something they need help with, and at the right time when they need your help, it's above anything that you will ever learn in specifically Outbound go-to-market, right? Of course, there's a learning curve, but you need to make sure that the foundations are correct. Now, I'm going to talk about what we're going to cover, and so you understand like where you'll find each information. So I've laid down all the tools here, all the softwares, what do they do, a link to sign up. And these are affiliate links, by the way. If you sign up, I'll get a small commission, and you'll also get some good deals like 3,000 credits for Clay and some other deals. And I've also laid down the price. Each tool, software, and the entire tech stack that you see, I've covered each of this, how to use them properly, how each functionality works and everything. So you'll see, let's say you'll get started with firstly clay.com, then you'll move to Apollo, LinkedIn Sales Nav, and all these different tools and stuff. The main focus, like I would say 80% of focus would be on Clay, because Clay is like the master key to all those smaller tools. Clay connects with hundreds of tools. It has hundreds of integrations. You can connect with, literally, you can connect any tool that I've mentioned here, from Apollo. I don't think Sales Nav, but Appify, Smart Lead, anything else. HeyReach, RB2B, Find Email, Clayagent, anything is connected inside Clay. So we'll spend most of our time in Clay, and then we'll talk about like how do you integrate these tools into Clay and then use it. Of course, you need to know how to use these tools separately as well, but Clay is like the main thing that we'll use. And I've also laid down like how many contacts you can reach based on the Outbound infrastructure. A lot of things happening in the Outbound space, so you need to make sure that the infrastructure is set up perfectly. I've covered everything. So this is for the introduction of this course. Now you'll find each kind of tool and explanation below that kind of the tool, and then you'll find a video, and you'll find these videos embedded here. So your time majority should be spent on the videos after reading it, of course, because in the video I'm sharing my screen, I'm showing everything live. Like I'll share my screen, I'll show a Clay playbook that I've built. How do you build it starting from scratch? How do you do stuff? How do you add formulas? How do you use enrichment? So your main kind of time should be spent on watching the videos, because the video has the secret sauce in it. It's not possible for anyone to explain the technicalities of how to use Clay by just telling you and writing it. You need to see it live in action for you to be able to see like the power of Clay. If you don't see it live, if you don't know someone like showing you around, it's very hard to use it. So yeah, now that was it for the introduction. I'll see you in the first video, which is Clay, and let's see you there. Hey everyone, so welcome to this first kind of main video in which we'll dive deeper into the main tool that we use, which is Clay. But before I dive deeper into showing you all the craziness, all the amazingness of Clay, I want to show you the basics first. So if you already have signed up for a Clay plan, you know what Clay is, you've been using it, you just want to learn some kind of stuff in Clay, then you can skip this part. But for anyone who hasn't signed up for Clay yet, you're looking for a plan, then you can go to this page, which is clay.com/pricing. But the main plan that I would recommend is going to be this plan, because in this plan you'll get more features. You'll get the ability to add stuff. You can use HTTP API, you can use webhooks, you can use email sequencer, which is extremely important. Like you want to add stuff to HeyReach, Smartly, Instantly, whatever. And I'm gonna like quickly walk through everything, which is like just the basic stuff, so you can just quickly watch it, because it's not important for me to spend like 15 minutes on just talking about the pricing. So I'm just gonna quickly run through, because I want this course to be full of like actionable stuff, so you can just quickly go over it and start implementing stuff. The second is, if you're still looking like you maybe want to try the $800 plan, then you can go to this calculator, input a bunch of details like how many companies you want to target, how many prospects you want to target, all that stuff, and then it'll give you like an estimate. So you can also try that. So this is about the basic stuff. Now let's dive right into what Clay is. A lot of people get confused if Clay is like a data generation tool, if it's a sequencer. What actually is Clay? So Clay is none of those. Clay is a workflow tool, and the name even suggests this itself, that it's like clay. You can mold it to anything. If you can think it, you can do it. That's what one of my clients said, which is really cool. So in Clay, we'll build sophisticated outbound motions. We'll connect hundreds of other integrations, data enrichment tools, and all these things out there to build an outbound motion that is built inside Clay. You can import or create a lead list using hundreds of other data generation tools, using hundreds of import features that you have. You can use enrichments to enrich those prospects, companies, data, find relevant data from the internet, use AI, any integration. And then you can also use ClayGen. ClayGen is one of my favorite inventions by Clay. I'm going to dive deeper into it probably in this video, or I have a separate section for ClayGen where I'll add specific details on Clay. And then you can also personalize your outreach using OpenAI, Claude, Anthropic, Gemini, all those. And also you can connect your AI agents using HTTP API. I'm not going to dive deeper into that in this video, because that is a lot more advanced stuff. Now, when you sign up for Clay, this is the first thing that you'll see. Now, I don't want you to get confused, because that looks like it's empty. There's nothing in here. And you're right, it's empty. But I want you to assume that if you open up a Google Doc is empty, or a Google Sheet is empty, unless you write something on it, or unless it's properly segmented with headings and with details, then it looks good. Otherwise, it's empty. The same goes for Clay. When you sign up for Clay, it's going to be completely empty, and you need to start building stuff in it. Now, let's see the first thing. I want to start with one of the basic enrichments here. So there are few things, there are tons of things you can do with Clay, but I want to talk about the basic things if you're starting out with Clay, like what you can do. So you can find people directly by using this. I'll open it up and show you. You can find companies, you can find jobs, you can find local businesses, you can import data from CSV, whether it's companies, it's contacts, any other data from CSV, and then later enrich it. Let's say you imported like a list of news articles, right? And then in those news articles, there's some details that you want to get in Clay. You can do that using ClayGen to research each news article and find data, add in Clay, enrich. So you can have around 60 columns. Now, you can import data from all this. You can also import data from your CRM, like Salesforce, HubSpot. There's other CRMs integration as well, like Close. There are other ones, I think Outreach as well, that is natively integrated with Clay. Local businesses using Google Maps is an amazing kind of enrichment, but I would say here that you can use therapy.dev to do it for Google Maps, which I'll talk about later in this video. Right now, I'm just telling you the basics, and then I'll dive deeper into each thing, right? You can also see these integrations here, like you can import data from Airtable, Appify, Apollo, Close, all these other. I want you to open it up, take a look at it, get the feel of it, and then start building something. You'll also find templates here. So let's say you don't want to build a table, and there are some like already done templates that you can simply import in your Clay account, and then you can add data on top of it, and everything else would be done for you. Or you can create a blank table and then add data later on. So this was about the basics. Now let's see how you can do anything step by step. So if you want to import data from your CRM, the first thing you do is you will go to settings and you will connect your account. So let's say if I want to connect my Salesforce, if I want to connect my HubSpot, then I would go here and I would connect my HubSpot. Same goes for Salesforce or any other CRM that is natively integrated with Clay. Of course, you can also do it the CSV import, which we'll just show you right now. So if you do import CSV, you can simply drag and drop a file, which is going to be basic stuff. Now I want to show you how you can directly find companies in Clay. it's one of the basic kind of features in Clay where you can find companies, find people, find jobs, find local businesses. I'm going to do 3 or 4 of the basic stuff, and then we can enrich and show you the enrichments by creating everything from scratch. So you see all these kind of different filters here. I want you to assume any other data generation tool. So let's say if you open up Sales Nav, you see the same filters, or if you open up Apollo, you see almost the same filters. Not exactly the same, but almost the same. So it's the same here. Nothing to get confused. The same way you've been building lists for the last however many years, or you've been seeing on YouTube or stuff, the same goes for here. So let's say we want to find software companies, right? And we want to find companies that are over 50 employees. You'll do it like this. You can select anything you want to. You want to find only private, public, partnerships, self-employed companies, not government, non-profit and stuff. You want to find, let's say, sales intelligence companies, let's say. I'm assuming all that. Or you want to find maybe RevOps, right? You can also do a lot more, and you can exclude, you can include, you can exclude a lot more industries. And let's say you only want to find it from the US. And you can even add in the state, city, and limit. This is really important. So if you're just testing, because I'm testing, and if you are on the $350 plan, you'll get 25,000 record max percentage. If you are on $150 plan, I think it's 10,000 or even less. But if you're on the like the pro plan, the $800 a month, which is, I don't know, it's called pro plan, I think, then you have 50,000 record. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to do 200. And it also shows you like how many companies it's able to find and then how many you'll import. So you'll get a preview. So it found 118 in the US. There are sales intelligence and RevOps between these many employees that have the industry software development on their LinkedIn. And I want you to also understand that LinkedIn doesn't always have accurate data. What I mean is software development is an industry that is like it's an umbrella, right? There are a lot more new kind of companies coming out. So it could be a B2B SaaS, it could be a cybersecurity, that all falls in the software. But if you want to find all those specific details to target, like to make your outreach more targeted, there are tons of other ways to do it, which we'll talk about in later parts of this video. But if you remove a lot more filters here, it'll increase the number of results. But this is just to show you like the basic stuff. Now, if you import, I want you to import like this. If you click on fully enrich company, it'll basically enrich their LinkedIn company details. So you'll find all their employee count, what it says in their description, LinkedIn description, and all those details. For now, I'm keeping it off. We can do it later. And you see all those basic things are already here. You can even just select this and you'll find all those details directly. But of course, they'll use credits. Now, what does this mean? Enable automatic update for this table. And what it means is the table will be set to auto update. So if you run any enrichment, it'll run the table for you if you want to. If you keep it off, you're not going to lose credits accidentally, right? Now I'll just do it. I want you to take a look at this first, and maybe if you have Clay opened up, you can open up your Clay, try it right now and see if you're able to find companies, because you need to take action quickly. Just if you're watching it, maybe after the video, just open up your Clay and try this out. So if you see like we found all those companies. Now, if you want to enrich them, we have a couple of ways to do it, right? We can enrich their company directly. And enriching company means we're finding the data that is on their LinkedIn company profile, right? And we have the data here, LinkedIn URL, and this. And okay, if you're running any enrichments and you want to make sure that you don't waste any credits accidentally. You don't run the entire column and you'll waste your 3,000, 4,000 credits. Then I want you to keep it off, and you'll see why I say it. Okay, and if you keep it off, it's not going to run automatically. Because if the table is set to auto update and accidentally also sometimes it could run, it will use all those credits. But if you do it like this, you were just testing out, okay, is this working? Is this not working? Then you can test it, okay, this is working, and then you can then set it to auto update on. Now, while we're at it, I just want to also talk about the formula. There are conditional formulas in here. So you can add tons of data in here in just text, and it'll automatically convert into a formula. So let me tell you what I mean. Let's say I want to say only run this column, because I only want to, let's say I only want to run this if these have the word sales intelligence in their LinkedIn description. I'm just giving you an idea. So I can say only run this column if, and these are called variables. I'm sure you know that pretty much already. But if you do this slash, I think this is like a forward slash, then you can find kind of everything that is in the table, and even in these cells here. So I'll just show you what it is after doing it so you understand. So description, if description has the word sales in it, or sales intelligence maybe. Save and don't run. Okay, so now let me first, okay. There's one thing I want you to understand, right? If you see a cell like this, which is somewhat looking like this, there are multiple kind of variables in that, or I would call arrays. So these are all arrays, right? There is data in it, and there's sometimes, not sometimes, but most of the time, there's data even in those kind of things. So let's say specialties are big data, retention, all this stuff. Now, a lot of those details are irrelevant to you. You don't really care if they are big data, whatever, right? That's why Clay has put it like this. So if you want, you can even come in here and add this, but I won't recommend it. It really clogs up the table. It clutters it up really bad. And there's a certain limit in number of columns. So if you're on the $350 plan, I think that they have 40 columns. If you're on the, I don't know, maybe you can check that. But I know on my plan, on the $800 plan, I have 60 columns. If you add it, that would count it as a column that you have. You can, of course, do that. No harm in it. But I'm just showing you like what's the, like, how do you keep the table clean, right? Now, so let's run 50. And yeah, and the way to run a certain number of columns is you will right click on it, and then you can click on run column, and then you can choose number of rows to run, or you can even run it like this. And then let's say I've already run it up until 4. So I can start from 5, like row 5, and then I want to run it until 50, for 50 rows in total. So that would be, I think, 45, if I'm not mistaken. My math is very bad, so forgive me if I'm making a mistake, but yeah, something like that. So you see now it has enriched all those companies. So we have Outreach, we have all those Salesforce maps, Telius, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, People.ai, and all these good companies. Now we have those companies' data in here. Now we can further enrich and do a lot more in here. Now, let's say we have those companies, and now we want to find people in those companies. There are two ways to do it. And if you click on enrichment, we'll talk about enrichments in detail. If you have a foundational table, let's say you have jobs in it, you have companies in it, you have people in it, you have data in it, you've imported your data from HubSpot, any of your CRM or anything. Once it's in the table, anything, then you just have to click on this button, which is add enrichment, and you'll find all the enrichments that you will ever need. And of course, there are other things as well, like actions. If you want to find more companies like this, I don't really use that. Find people at these companies. Yep, this is what I was talking about, but I'm going to show you how to do it from here. Monitor new hires you can do. You can share it as a template and all those. Now, let's say you want to find companies. You will click on here and you will do find contacts, add company. Now, again, I said there are two ways to do it. The first way is you will add people the same way you have this enrich company, where the data would be in one cell and the limit is 10. But if you want to find more people, more than 10, or you want to keep it in a separate table, like you want to keep the people in a separate table, then you will use save results in a new table. I'll do both now so you can understand. So if you click on save results in new table, and then it'll select all those 118 companies, now you would need to add job titles. I'm not going to dive deeper into how do you add job titles. I'm assuming that already your ICP, but I've used ChatGPT O1 preview or for Omni, and it has really helped me in dialing down who my ICP is. So it could give more titles, it could remove titles, it could give me which shouldn't I reach out to. So you can fill all that up in here, and then it'll give you like a lot of good kind of job titles that you can simply copy and paste. If you know that already, it's fine. You can add in here. Now let's talk about like how do you add in details here. So previously, a few months ago, even Clay did not look like this. It was like you just need to add in like titles, but now they're more advanced and now you can do a lot more stuff. So let's say if you want to find all the VP, director, C-suite level people, even let's add in header, and want to find people in sales, marketing, and public relations. This is what this. And now you can also add in like titles in here, right? Like vice president of sales, VP of sales, and all that stuff. I'm going to write them down and then I'm going to resume the video. Okay, so I haven't added any specific job titles in here. We'll see if it's finding a lot of good prospect data. If not, then we can add titles, but you can exclude titles. You can write, if you want to remove sales rep, SDRs, you can do that, all that good stuff. You can add in titles in here. If you want to find people who recently joined, you can do that. By location, I would highly recommend you do location if you want to. US, you can you're seeing all that, right? I'm not gonna do all that stuff because I want to use most of the video in talking about like really important stuff that you can do. You can pretty much do everything that you're seeing here already. Now let's add like maybe 100 people, and you can limit also. So let's say if you want to find one prospect per company, or you can find as many as possible. Maybe we can do 100 prospects, like we don't care, and let's do it 500 just to see what happens. And now I'll create another table, right? It won't add data into this table, but I'll show you a really cool trick of how you can keep everything clean, organized in kind of one workbook, which is a new feature by Clay. So you'll see all those people in here. So if you see, it's finding it found a lot of prospect data, and almost all of them are from outreach. And because we didn't put in a lot of titles and stuff, but if you play around with the titles, if you remove add, you will find a lot more kind of specific data in here. So this is how you basically find the prospect data from companies. The other way would be, and sometimes you need to understand that there might be like sometimes if you use other data generation tools, let's say if you were to use Apollo, it may have found more people. So there are multiple ways to go about one thing. So let's say if I go on to Apollo now, if I copy all those companies that you saw previously and then find it through Apollo, I'm pretty sure we'll find more companies. Let's do one thing now. We found everyone from outreach, if you saw, right? Now let's do it, find contacts at company. I'll try and do the same. And let's keep the data in this table and see if we find more people. It's going to use one credit like this per column, but if you do it the way I showed you earlier, it's not going to use any pair. So that's one thing. So save results in this table, you need to click on that. You will add in the job title. So now let's do VP, C-suite, head, and let's do maybe sales. Let's just do sales. Let's include assistant, junior, intern. And then you can also do job functions, minimum role, maximum role, and all that stuff, right? And then I always do this. I have this habit, but I also want to show you the formulas here, right? Now, the formulas, talking about the formula makes sense a bit. Let's say I only want to find people in companies that have the word sales or sales intelligence or RevOps in their LinkedIn description. So I'll say only run this column if / and then we'll select that. So you need to click on here, and then you will find the word description, because if I do description, and if you do description, it's also going to show you. If description has the word sales in it, right? And now you'll see yes and no. What it means is, if you click on it, this does not have the word sales in it. It has the word revenue operations, which might be a good target, but I'm just trying to show you an example. It's not going to run it, which means column will run no. Here it has the word somewhere, we don't see it completely now, but it has the word sales in it, and it's going to run, which means yes, column will run yes. So this is what I do. You can add 10 more details there, where you can say if the person is from let's say this state, if this says this, if they've been to a conference. Like I've built some crazy stuff where you can find very like hyper targeted prospect data by just doing this, and you can be very relevant. So let's do this, and let's run 20 to see if let's run 50 to see if you're finding, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so if you see, we haven't found a lot of people because we weren't very clear in the titles, but if you add in a lot more titles, then you can find a lot more people. So if you see like this, we have people that the previous enrichment didn't found, but we have people from, let's say, Seamless AI, AutoMind, Mastermind, and all this stuff. Now, if you click here, you'll see the people in here. Now, if you want to add them, you can, into a different table using write to other table. But before that, I want to show you how to keep everything clean and keep everything in one kind of workspace. What you'll do is you'll come in here and you create a workbook, and you can do blank workbook in starting, and then you can name this workbook. I'm going to name this test. I'm going to name this Clay training. And then you can add all the tables in here, right? Let's say you're doing it for let's say you are running a specific, let's say you're doing hiring, a specific Clay playbooks. You can add everything in this hiring. So you can, if you want to open up hiring, you can see that you can name this hiring, whatever. Now we'll add all those tables that we've just created in here. You simply can come in here, move table to workbook. I'll do Clay training. I hope it's this one. I don't know which one is it. I hope this one. You see this one, and now we'll also add this one. So move table to workbook, Clay training. It takes a while to move, but this is how you can keep everything organized. You can keep everything in kind of one workbook, so you keep everything clean. Now, if let's say you want to create more tables, you can come in here, add, and keep everything clean in one table. And that has really personally helped me. And I've been using Clay for more than a year now, maybe 1.5 years. And you'll see what I'm saying, and you'll notice it. Now, we've covered how to add contacts from HubSpot, Salesforce, your CRM, simply doing very similar stuff where you'll just import and then you can do what you want to do. CSV import, as the name suggests, very simple. So let's say if you want to change the name, you'll come in here, rename, and let's say you want to rename it to AI line or whatever, right? I'm just going to put it back what it was. So you can change all this. I showed you how to find contacts using Clay. Probably I didn't, but I'll just go over it quickly. It's very simple. You'll just do find people, and then you can do the same thing which I just showed you earlier. You'll put in the filters. Instead of finding companies, you can find people directly. You can do that by coming in here, searching, adding it into a table, and then I'll talk about how to find work emails, personal phone numbers, but I want to talk about like the basic stuff first, and then we'll go into enrichments where I've broken down everything. Now you can also find jobs, which is really cool. I'm going to try and show you like a Clay play that I've built, but first I want to show you a simple kind of filter that you can use. Then I'm going to jump into a completely built Clay table so you can understand what's possible with kind of not just importing jobs and reaching out, but how can you be hyper personalized. So let's say the same thing goes for jobs. What you will do is, let's say you want to find like people hiring for these roles. So let's say we are looking for sales development representative. Yeah. Okay. SDR, you can do BDR, GTM engineer, whatever, right? So you can do all this stuff. You can remove junior, vice, intern. You can even say what they have added in their job description. So let's say you want to see someone who is an expert in Salesforce. If they're hiring for Salesforce experts or HubSpot experts or Clay experts, right? Or outreach, whatever. You can do. Location is extremely important. If you don't do it, you'll find like bad data. Of course, you know that already. Job type, you can do full-time, part-time, contract, temporary. Let's say you can do contract, temporary, not internship, temporary, and all that stuff. This is, I won't say click on it because you can later down the line, once you have those companies in here, you can then enrich and find hiring manager. But a lot of the times you won't find the hiring manager, you'll find other people in those companies, but there are other ways to do it. Let's just do it for now and let's see what we get. Let's find 500 maximum and limit to 10, maybe limit to 5 per company. And of course, you can do, I'm just trying to show you an example so you can feel comfortable and you can do it on your own. You can open up your Clay right now and do what I'm doing for your specific use case and see if you're getting anything. So you see, we found, okay, one thing I just wanted to add is posting there should be in the last 30 days. This is also really important because if you're finding job posts that are over 30, even 14 days, a lot of them would say not accepting applicants, or they may have hired or something. Now, if you see, it found 737 results in the US in the last 30 days, right? And then we can simply click here, import to new table, same thing as I showed you, and you'll find all those people. So you have all the data, you don't have the description, but there are multiple ways to find the description. You can scrape this job post, or you can also come in here and do find jobs, and then do this, remove this, and then company social profile, you can select the company domain and then you can find it and you can add all this. How I like to do it is I'll show you a completely done Clay table so you understand how I like to do it. So once again, do not get confused. This is a completely built Clay table, but I just wanted to show you what's possible. So then you can understand what kind of enrichments you want to run, what kind of things you can do. Let's talk about how you can go about making a specific table for hiring, right? Now I've imported these jobs. I have looked up where it's a lookup feature where you can do a lookup. I won't go into detail here because it might confuse you, but I'm looking up into past jobs that I've scraped to see if there's any job that I've scraped in the past to remove it, right? Then I'm also looking up the LinkedIn company profile URL if we've had contacted them before, looking up the domains and all that good stuff. If none of it is a match, we are enriching the company, which is, let's say we've enriched these companies by adding on a formula here. And then we are finding the exact industry, not the industry that LinkedIn gave us, using an AI enrichment. I'll talk about all these enrichments later, but this is one of the basic examples because we wanted to reach out to very specific companies. Then we're also looking into recruiter. If we have a recruiter LinkedIn URL, let's say this was a URL, and by recruiter, the person who posted in the job, right? You have recruiter, we're finding the email, we're finding more contacts and companies. But let me show you how I was finding data. So there's an enrichment called Zenros. If you want to scrape their job post, which is this, runs Zenro scrape, and I'm going to just show you live here. So it's actually scraping the body text, and then I've added in some formulas, and it's coming to me with all this data. And this would include a lot of irrelevant data as well. What I mean by irrelevant is it would also include the entire scrape page information, right? So if you see here, it's saying something like skip to main content LinkedIn. So it's actually scraping, but it has all the company, like all the job data as well. Then what I've done is I'm looking up if they're accepting, is still accepting applicants or not, by using like a keyword match filter, which you can do it like this: keyword, find keywords. You can also do it on website and other stuff. Then this was something really cool, and this is just to open up like a new world of AI and stuff for you if you're still learning. What I was doing is I was using Claude to summarize the job description from this jobs post script and find me 5 important details of this. If you see, and the 5 important responsibilities are these: develop and execute company's finance strategy and all this stuff and all this stuff. Then we were also using AI to make it more cleaner, so we can use it in cold email and then add it to a different table and then directly adding it to smart lead and stuff. Also updating the CRM. So this is more advanced stuff, but this is just to show you what's possible with just not just like saying you are looking for people that are hiring, but you can find what they're hiring for, what are the key responsibilities. Then you can write an email based on that, and then you can send a very hyper personalized email. Okay, so this is one of the basic stuff. How do you find contacts, companies, jobs, CSV import, CRM, right? Now I'll just quickly show you you can also find data from local businesses using Google Maps, and it's really cool. The way it looks like, I love it. I don't really use it because I feel like the credit cost is a bit like, it's 1 credit per company, but I feel like there are cheaper ways to do it using Serpida, which I'll show you. But I'm just trying to show you, like, you can select, let's say we want to find specific business types. Let's say you want to find car dealers, car repair, car wash, all this stuff. We want to find it from Manhattan, and then we want to find only 50 results, right? And then new blank table, and then you can pull all that data in there. And then once you have the data again, then you can enrich and do all that stuff. The first step always is to add some data. I want you to understand that, right? The next step is to identify what you need to do and then do it. So we've covered the basic stuff. Of course, I'll just go over webhook again. I'm trying to cover the basic stuff so you don't get confused. Now, what is a webhook? Webhook is, I'm going to give you one of the most basic examples which most people right now are using, is of RB2B or any other website visitor identification tool. What a webhook does is, if you create a table by selecting webhook, it's going to give you a webhook. This webhook URL or whatever that URL, you're going to copy it and you're going to paste it in that tool that you're using, like RB2B or any vector or anything else. I think Warmly. And then once you add that code in there, this URL, it's gonna then post data here, if I'm making sense. Let me show you like a table where it's working live, but this is what you need to do: copy it, paste it there, and then as soon as someone hits your website or do anything, if it's a request, then it's gonna keep adding stuff here. Now, this is an example of a webhook-based table. So we've just added a webhook and it's been sending data. So it sent data here, and once the data is here, the table is set to auto update. We don't have to do anything here. That's the power of what I'm talking about. I just want to excite you in the beginning so you understand. So once the data is here, then we have the table already made. We've built the table and it has been producing amazing results. So then the table is on auto update. Leads come in here, they get enriched. We find the data, we simplify everything, we validate the emails, and we finally send them an email if we feel like they're a good fit. So this is like the end goal, right? But the basic was to show you all this. So now I've covered webhooks. Sales Navigator scrape, I will cover it in detail, but simply what I mean is you can use advanced search filters in Sales Navigator. You can scrape them and you can add them into this, like a new strategy that I use. But Sales Navigator has millions of prospects, and I think all data is from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is on top, and every data generation tool I think grabs from LinkedIn, also other sources, right? But LinkedIn has majority of the data. So it's really good to get it from the main source, which is sales. Of course, you need to scrape it, which goes against as LinkedIn policies. But anyways, tons of other integrations here, which I want you to take a look at, which are these. So if you want to take a look at what are all the integrations, I want you to look around, see, feel comfortable with it. Okay, so you can also do that. Also, I want you to come here, click on add enrichment, just see all the stuff that you can find. And then you will get a lot more ideas. Okay, so I can also find this, I can also extract this, I can find this data, right? First is to get familiar with the tool, and then we'll get better at the tool.